is personalised care? Personalised care is where people have more choice and control over how their health and care needs are met. It recognises that people themselves can sometimes be the best integrators of health and care and supports them to live as independently as they wish. With personalised care, people are more involved in the decision-making process and should be supported to talk about the things or outcomes that matter most to them and what is the best course of action to achieve these outcomes. The result is better health and well-being for them, plus more effective and joined-up services. People are able to develop their knowledge, skills, and confidence and can take on as much responsibility as they want to manage their own health and well-being. But people will not be left on their own, and the NHS will be there to support them as it always has done. As we move towards a more personalised system, it is important to have a clear approach as to what this means, and that is why we have established the new comprehensive personalised care model. This is an all-age, whole-population approach to personalised care. It focuses on helping people to achieve better health and well-being outcomes by assessing specific personalised care, support or interventions. To start, the whole population can be supported to stay as well as possible through building community resilience and enabling people to make informed choices when their health changes. There are a number of universal interventions which help to achieve this, including shared decision-making and patient choice, and social prescribing and community-based support. The next group are people with long-term physical and mental health conditions, who make up around 30% of the population. A personalised care approach supports these people to build knowledge, skills, and confidence to better manage their health and well-being through a series of targeted interventions, in addition to the universal interventions. These include personalised care and support planning, and support to self-manage, which includes health coaching, self-management education, access to peer support, and use of the patient activation measure. The third group are people with complex needs, who typically have multiple long-term conditions and who make up around 5% of the population. A personalised care approach provides intensive specialist interventions to empower people and integrate their care and support so as to reduce unplanned service use. These interventions include the targeted and universal interventions, as well as personal health budgets, integrated personal budgets, and integrated personal commissioning, which enables people to take direct control of the resources available for their health and care. Acknowledging people as experts in their own lives, health and care not only adds value to people's lives and experiences, it creates value for the taxpayer and better integrates the system around the person. The comprehensive personalised care model demonstrates how this more personalised approach can become a reality.
I'm moving on September the 9th, in fact, and I'm going to do computer forensics, which will hopefully allow me to give something back to the community and to say thank you for everyone who helped me get this.
This is the first time I've actually seen the process go from start to finish, and it's been an amazing experience for me, and it's quite emotional really, because I didn't realise what a huge impact it could have on somebody's life and the opportunities that we can now provide to them.
In a nutshell, the wheelchair offers me full independence, so I have no need for a carer, and it just allows me to be like everyone else really.
So Personal Wheelchair Budgets was started summer last year, so 2017, and we were signed up as a champion site, so we were testing the water really with how it would work. What we're doing is, rather than looking at just mobility needs, we're looking at the wider health and wellbeing needs. So in the case of Dylan, his wheelchair needs were being met by a powered chair, but actually what it couldn't do was give him the independence that he wanted. He was still dependent on other people to help with transfers, to assist with things like shopping, domestic activities, all those things that everybody else takes for granted.
To be honest, that's just going to give me a new lease of life. Like, alright, people might think it's a seat, it moves around, but it's more than that for me, because it's not just about mobility, but it's also like personal use, because it's allowing me to engage and do stuff what other people do. Just being a student really, like getting my degree and just seeing where life takes me, and most of all enjoying the nightlife.
Please tell us about yourself.
So I'm Andy Walker, which in itself is it's an irony, because I'm in a wheelchair, paralysed from neck down with a high-level spinal cord injury, so I can't walk her. And I use that line quite a lot, because I'm a lad who was injured 16 years ago in an accident in India. And I've had quite a journey. It's quite an amazing life story. I was 28 when I had my accident, and I had businesses. I travelled all around the world with those businesses, and just doing quite a lot of adrenaline stuff, so skydiving, bungee jumping, anything that involved life and death, and put the threat of the fear of God into my mother. I was really into basically, and I'm not changed. So I had an injury that I acquired in India, which was a really tough place to have a spinal cord injury. The first hospital was horrendous, and then I went to a spinal unit in Delhi, and that was my first real opportunity to really understand a little bit more about care and support, and start thinking about moving forward with my life, even though I can't move my arms, my legs, my fingers and my toes, which is quite a hard concept to think about when you've been a big strapping lad. I played rugby at a high county level, and I was captain of my football team, rugby teams. I was a top rugby player. I actually swam for England at the age of 13, 14. I was the fourth best, which wasn't good enough, by the way. Swimmer in the 50-metre breaststroke at the time. And I had this tragic injury, and now I've kind of overcome it with the support with amazing family, friends, personal assistants, which we call PAs, and I run a motivational speaking company. I'm still an adrenaline freak and get up to sort of crazy challenges and try and push the limits of me as a human being, but kind of like what can be perceived to be achieved with a spinal cord injury. But every single challenge, I believe, it's kind of a mental one rather than a physical one. So,
what difference has personalised care made to your life?
It's really hard to describe it. When I do sort of talks and speeches, particularly around personalised care, I have a personal health budget. I was one of the first ones to kind of really fight for it. If I'm being honest, it wasn't an easy thing to persuade the CCG, who at the time had been commissioned by a court of law to be one of the trials. So it was before personal health budgets were around the country, so they weren't available for myself. And I kind of got discharged from the spinal unit. And if I'm being absolutely honest, like my concerns were more about like the mental challenges that I thought I was going to have was about, can I be like a good godfather, good dad, good boyfriend, husband, or whatever in the future, family member? Could I still be like a big, same big brother? Could I look after people without my arms and what have you? And actually the biggest challenge that we had was securing like funds for the continuing healthcare, trying to get equipment that was suitable for me, trying to sort of like use the money that was available like in the best way. And I felt very, very ostracized from that, if I'm being honest. I remember the first multidisciplinary meeting, and it was a conversation I had. At the time, I was with a partner, a girlfriend who was with quite a long time before the accident and during the accident, through the accident for a couple of years. And I remember the first multidisciplinary meeting being in my old house, and they were just 17 to 20 professionals, let's call them, being what I would call very unprofessional and just squabbling about money in front of us. And not one single person in about an hour and a half asked me or Eva what we wanted. It was, we've got this, and it was about we're going to use this care company, and it's going to be local, and this is what's going to happen. And girls and gentlemen will come in and do shift work, and the district nurse will come in and do your bowel management and all the rest of it. And I'd done my research, and it's the last thing in the world I wanted. I wanted to, at the time, be part of a conversation. So it was the middle of winter, and I threw everyone outside Rosie's, what I did, literally in the middle of Manchester, which, even in the summer, we don't get good weather. And I said, I want you to go outside and think about who this is all about. It was about, and let me just tell you something, not one of you have asked us like what we want, how we are, have we done the research? And my first question is, what experiences as that care company that's down the road that, funnily enough, I had some insight into before my accident for a number of reasons, and they had no experience with spinal cord. They were going to make up as they went along, and the shift pattern I wanted was a weekly pattern, so I could start a business like I had previously. Best way to describe it, and I don't feel like this is a story just about Andy Walker, but for the CCG as well, the people who are involved in that, when we talk together, there's much more of an alliance of a team and a partnership. We're friends, we have much more positive conversations. We have a lot less of them because of a personal health budget, because of personalised care. Even though we started on a kind of a rocky road, like from the point of view of ourselves, it just felt like being in the Sahara, bursting, like needing water, and then all of a sudden you're in this beautiful fountain, and you've got a drink, and it's just like, wow, this is what it's all about. Because we were in control of decisions for our family. We were talking positively and working alongside the CCG, not against them, and and things just started to work better. And like the budget that I now have, even though I have the same budget, I give a lot of money back because I don't have a lot of contingency, and the training is more consistent. And I'm the boss, I'm in charge. So if something goes wrong, it's down to me, not the CCG, for example. And it's just simple things like, the equipment that we have is better used investment because I get to be part of that conversation. So, for whatever it might be, it could be like computer-based equipment, hoists, standing frames. These things are really important for my health, and they're really good long-term investments that save money for the NHS, but they take a bit of upfront investing. And from the point of view of, of my health, since we've started to put certain things into my budget, we've saved a lot of money because I'm in hospital a lot less. So it's, it's a really positive thing.
What does personalised care mean to you?
So personalisation is about giving people choice, control, options to have their crazy dreams. You know what I mean? Not mine, not yours, not the people listening to this, but the dreams for the people they love, people, themselves maybe at one point, to continue living it. And that's what it's done. It's given me the opportunity to do amazing things, being involved in amazing schemes and projects and activities and things that I genuinely never thought I'd be part of, or leading when I was lying down there, absolutely scared out of my mind, but keeping it to myself as a typical sort of, rugby playing bloke who doesn't talk and show his emotions. Everything's going to be fine. But inside I was absolutely panicking. But I couldn't foresee the future. And by having regular staff that I can trust, people who are part of my family, my life, who've got the same ethics, morals, sort of work. I mean, I mentioned at the start of today, we've had a bereavement, and to be around the people that I know and trust on Sunday to have an handover in such a difficult time and be having a family meal, it seems like such a simple thing. It's not about the big challenges. It's about who picks the kids up from school, who bathes you, showers you, washes you. And it's all about having that choice. And if you put yourself in that position, I know it's difficult as a professional to change a culture shift mindset, but if you're in the position of receiving that service or in need of personalised care, which looks very different for a lot of people, then you would always say it's a positive thing to give it over.
John and Philippa, I wonder if you'd like to say a few words about the journey you've been on and what you've learned about leadership along the way.
Well, the importance for me is the people that I have worked with, really, because everybody says, I was a pioneer and I did it, but I couldn't have done it without the support of those other people. And right from the beginning, that was the trademark of who we were as people and how we managed it. We were a movement. We were a social movement. And to me personally, I was very lucky in finding out about what had happened in the United States and had the opportunity to travel there. And it's quite extraordinary, the inspiration and the momentum you get from those kinds of journeys. If I can give you an example, I asked a disabled woman once about, where can we get the money from to support us? Do we need to be ethical about it? In other words, do we need to use charities or not? And she said, look, John, you just get money from wherever you can. That's what's important, And this woman, Judy Human, ended up working for the World Bank. And now, she was the advisor to President Clinton and Barack Obama on disability issues and education. So those are key issues, key kind of parts of my life that I'll always remember and keep on giving me a kick every time I do things.
I love that, John, because actually when we talk about the barriers to leadership or doing something different, people always say we haven't got any money, but there's a clear lesson there, and you just you can find it from somewhere. You just have to maybe look in a different place. Philippa, would you like to sort of start by just saying, a few words about what you've, your perspective on this leadership in personalised care in the context of your journey?
I think my journey began when I realised that my son Simon had a disability which would have impacts on his life, and I refused to accept the idea that he should conveniently be put into a long-stay mental handicap hospital, and my husband and I could get on with our life in the Foreign Office. I believed that Simon had the right to a life, to progression, to achievement. I was ambitious, but I didn't know any other families. And I think I would absolutely endorse John's point that the people you meet on your journey matter. And in my case, it was a wonderful professor of paediatrics, Ronnie McKeith, and he took me aside. I was staying in hospital. I brought my son back from Malawi for his diagnosis. And he said to me, your son has a future. Everything that you give up for him or you are actually taking away his opportunities. He said, we need a new narrative about disabled children and their life chances. And you as a parent must be part of that journey. And I told him, I can't. This is not my field. I'm not a leader. I just want my son to have a life. And Ronnie McKeith was a classicist, and we're talking about people and leadership today. And he said to me, I'll tell you a story. He said, have you ever read Hannibal's memoirs? Well, I hadn't read Hannibal's memoirs, but I knew he went over the Alps. He said, right, he said, Hannibal wrote in his memoirs that a good leader collaborated was the first time the word collaboration was used in any language in Latin. It appears in his memoirs. He said, when I had to cross the Alps, I looked at my biggest obstacle and I thought, I can't. And he said to myself, yes, I can, because a good leader doesn't just lead from the front. He recognizes the leadership potential in the people who are in his team. So he looked back and he asked the men who were bringing the elephants and the equipment over the Alps, how can we get over this obstacle? And the men thought, and they turned to him and they said, leader, ask the elephants. And Hannibal said, we ask the elephants, how will we get over the Alps? What will we eat on the way? And the elephants knew, he said. And at that moment, I realized that leadership is about collaboration. And that was the beginning of my journey, because I met up with other parents. Ronnie McKeith gave me a social prescription to MenCap, actually talk about options. And I became part of the campaign to close the long stay hospitals, to get the right to education to my child. I was horrified that he was regarded as ineducable. Had a letter from the London Education Authority, typewriter, red ribbon, saying that I could not present my child at a school. I thought, this is a nonsense. And then as Simon grew, I met and heard about people like John. And I realized that the personalization movement that disabled people as role models were the people that I should follow. So my son was one of the first people to have a personal budget, to have his own home. He has significant learning and other disabilities. And we're still on that journey. I feel we're all part of a new narrative. And actually, COVID-19 gives us the opportunity to think about a very different world and do it differently. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. A clear message there about kind of working together and collaboration. And also that you didn't see yourself as a leader at the beginning. It just so happened you had to step into that authority. John, did you see yourself as a leader at the beginning? I mean, what's your reflections of what Philippa just said?
Well, I did see myself as a leader because it was kind of an idea that came from me. It was a vision. And I think it's important from a leadership point of view to have a vision. You have to have a way forward. You have to have somewhere to travel to. And, that was quite key. There was a kind of certainty and a belief in myself that, we have to put it into context, that back in the 1970s, late 1970s, early 1980s, there was nothing. There was no community support. There wasn't any way that somebody like myself who needed 24/7 support could live without the support of a family or had a lot of money to put in to buy in those people to help you, or you had residential care. And simply because my friends that were looking after me after I broke my neck couldn't cope anymore, I ended up going into a residential care. And to me, that was like the worst possible thing. It was really like imprisonment. And I felt right from the start that I was not going to spend the rest of my life in that residential home. And I knew it. I had no idea how I was going to find a way out. But it was remarkable that within a few days of living in that residential home, I met some colleagues and we started talking about it. And we said, yes, let's start something. Let's do it, because this is our way forward. And that was so important. And, that journey from that residential home, somebody once said, John, you went from Lee Court to Strasbourg. I went from a residential home to being a leader of a disability movement and going to Strasbourg and Brussels to campaign and to sort of meet parliamentarians on the way, as well as meeting politicians in this country. But it wasn't easy. It took a lot of detective work. It took a lot of research to be able to kind of get through the maze, as it were, and to try and educate people as we went, because people couldn't believe that somebody like ourselves could possibly live in the community. But, we showed them that we could, and we proved them wrong.
That's brilliant, John. Thank you. I love that. There's a few things in there that you did see yourself as a leader. You had a mission, you had a vision, and that's a clear leadership lesson as well, isn't it? It's kind of, and then finding other people to kind of share that vision and mission with and work together. But I also like your what you said there about, you did your homework, you did the detective work. Sometimes it takes graft at the detail end of leadership to be able to make these things happen, to make all the pieces fit together. So are there any other leadership qualities you think that you've noticed you're in yourself or in others on the way, John, that have been key to success other than the ones we've mentioned?
I think there are a number, really. I mean, the important thing is you can't do everything. You have to work together with other people. So there's collaboration needed, and the kind of partnership of working with others and being able to share values and delegate roles. And, we quickly realized that different people within our group had different talents and different skills. And we had to make sure those people put those into action. And yes, there are a lot of other skills that people have, and you have to make sure you use those as assets. That's asset building, and that's trying to develop, what you have together with others and building a new future. So yes, there are lots of different areas where you can make sure you make things happen.
Thank you. Yeah, sometimes we think, leaders need to have all of the answers, and clearly you're both saying that that's not the case. You need a mix of people, and you also need to ask the elephant. So there could be lots of different types of elephant, I guess.
So I thought it would be really helpful if you could please set the scene for us. So if you could say a little bit about co-production, the context of that within personalised care.
In 2010, the New Economics Foundation defined co-production as delivering public services in an equal and reciprocal relationship between professionals who are actually running the services and providing the services, and people, their families, carers, and the wider community. So it really is about a completely different way of working in public services, where power is shared between those providing the services and those receiving the services. And our public services are fantastic. We've got some amazing people working in the front line and keeping the show on the road behind the scenes. But we have got into a mindset of doing things for people. Co-production is about doing things with people. It is a shift again to a much more equal relationship, like at the point of care between the person that you're providing the care to, if you're a clinician, but on a much more strategic level, and for leaders with the wider community, because public services, the clue is in the name, they belong to the public. The co-production is really fundamental to personalised care because it is all about that shared power. So we talk about shared decision making being one of the sort of fundamental parts of personalised care. So if you are sitting with your doctor, you're actually having a conversation about what matters to you, and then you're then making a decision together about the best course of treatment, support, or support to look after your health yourself. And similarly, across other public services, those kind of shared decisions that you might have with your child's teacher or with somebody in social care. So it's not just an NHS thing. It's deep listening on all sorts of levels with all sorts of people on a continuous basis.
Hello, my name is Catherine Wilton and I'm the lead educator on this leadership development course. Over the next 3 weeks, you will learn about the components of personalised care, why a new approach to leadership is required, and explore what that leadership looks like in practice. The fundamental first principle of personalised care is giving people real choice and control over the way their care and support is delivered. Our courses are designed to equip leaders at all levels with the skills and confidence to embed personalised care as custom and best practice across the complex, interconnected health and social care system in which we operate. Enabling people to have control through personalised care means we need to change the way we do things, and we need leaders to champion and initiate that change. This course will give you a foundation in leadership for personalised care so that you can start taking action straight away. Many people with lived experience and experts in leadership development have been involved in co-producing this course so that it truly reflects what we want health and social care services to look like now and in the future. In the first week, we will talk about the components of personalised care. In week 2, we will look at why leadership is important in this context. And in the third week, we will begin to explore in more detail the qualities and behaviours that leaders need in order to bring about change. As you work through the course, I invite you to take part in discussions and reflection to deepen your learning and connect with your fellow learners. Being a leader starts with you, as an individual deciding to do something different, getting others on board, and then delivering and making a real difference. I hope that the insights and knowledge you acquire here will inspire you to champion new ideas and approaches in your organisation and the wider community and make a real difference to people's lives. Welcome to the movement and enjoy.